Yo, what's up, guys? Not going to do anything super complicated. Just going to kind of look through, see if there's any bets available that we want to place. So I'm going to be looking at, kind of the main platforms, PrizePicks, Underdog Fantasy. The reason I like live streaming out these plays as opposed to just posting them on Twitter is on Twitter, a lot of people complain. Some of them move pretty quickly. So I'll try to keep this live stream short, just kind of hit some bets, then honestly call it a day. So you can see this play is on Fliff. So I've already bet this for tomorrow. I gave it out on Twitter. But you can see here, like this is, a really good play that hopefully you guys are able to get on. So Fliff is pricing this at plus 160, Bovada plus 130, FanDuel plus 126. So I've explained this before, but like a lot of people, when they start out sports betting, they think the way to beat the books is, create some supermodel that's going to tell you who's guaranteed to win the game. And that's just not going to happen, right? Like FanDuel, SBK, Pinnacle, Bovada, like these are companies that have invested millions of dollars into their ability to set lines, right? Manage lines, move around lines due to supply and demand, right? If action comes in on the under, you'll notice OddsJam has line movement charts. Nothing's moved in this game for tomorrow. Well, you can see here. Actually, this is a perfect example. So all sports books set lines independently. Pinnacle, right here, is known to be one of the sharpest, the smartest sports books. And you can see right here, they've been moving odds since opening. They first posted lines for Tuesday 4 hours ago. They opened at plus 159. Now they've ripped down all the way to plus 136, right? So what that indicates to you is early action was coming in on the under, right? They're making odds worse on the under. They're dropping odds on the under. So basically, all sports books set lines independently. So that means all sports books have to update odds in unison. But you can see here, Fliff is still giving you plus 160. So long story short, like some of the sharper bookmakers, they're known to be sharper because, they take bets from shit. I'm not sharing my screen. My bad. What's up, guys? I'll go to Underdog Fantasy in a second. Damn. Sorry about that. But you can see here the positive EV tool, right? Like all books plus 126, Fliff plus 160. You pull up a line movement chart, Pinnacle, known to be one of the smarter, the sharper sports books, they came crashing all the way down to plus 136. So as sports bettors, like you want to use this information to make better bets, right? To make smarter bets. So when the sharpest sports book is dropping the line from plus 159 to plus 136, that indicates to you that a bunch of bettors obviously hit the under when they first posted odds at plus 159. Action was mainly coming in on the under. So now they dropped the odds to plus 136. So that's information that you should be using as a sports bettor, right? Like the way you beat the books is by following the line movements, following the data. Like it's not like, going with your gut, watching a White Sox game and being like, I think the game's going to go under. Like that's stupid. The way you beat the books is you follow the data. But anyways, let's go to Underdog Fantasy. Let's look at some esports. So Underdog Fantasy, I give out a lot of plays on Twitter, but hasn't really been working that well. They move lines pretty quickly, so hopefully, we're able to get down some plays. Let's see how I did today. So today, like pretty decent. I like esports. There's way too many do not plays. I don't know what these guys, how they're getting injured. It's esports or why they're not playing, but you can see we did a pretty good job, right? Like a lot of DNPs, but still 300, 300, 300. And then we lost $225 here, lost $100 here. So, a net profit, not every bet's going to win, just kind of how it is. But anyways, let's pull up Underdog Fantasy and let's, kind of start to look at some plays. So I've explained this before and I'll share this article. Just because it's kind of important. What's up, guys? Is this kind of breaks down like how many picks you want to go with on each platform. And I know like it's kind of boring to go through the math, but like it's important because, you look at PrizePicks, right? So on PrizePicks, any 3-pick, parlay you create, you're only getting a 5x payout. But if you go to Underdog Fantasy, right, any 3 picks you select, you can see right here, you're getting a 6x payout. So like this stuff really matters if you want to make money. Like literally 3-pick entries, on on PrizePicks are horrible. You should never be placing them. You should only be going with 3-pick entries. Long story short, depending on the platform, it matters how many picks you place. What's optimal? Crap like that. But anyways, let's go to Underdog Fantasy and let's look for some picks on the fantasy optimizer. And again, like if you don't use the books I use, there's probably good bets. There's 200 sports books on OddsJam, FanDuel, whatever. There's all these different books. But again, every sports book is legal in slightly different locations. So, there are some really good bets on all these different sports books. I placed the bet on Fliff and gave it out on Fliff because, I'm currently not located in a state where Bet365 is legal, right? If you're located in a state where Bet365 is legal, looks like there's some good soccer plays and stuff like that. So if you don't use Underdog Fantasy, I apologize, but that's where we're going to start. And why don't we just go ahead and we start out with this first pick, right? So what's great about esports is there's so many games. So what I mean by that is you think about the MLB, there's 10, 15 games a day. You look at esports, this stuff is nonstop. I mean, I feel like whenever I check Underdog Fantasy, there's thousands of lines. So if we take a look at this guy, where did he go? SHG. So doesn't look like it's pulling up. I'm not sure if he has possibly a different abbreviation, but we can search him on PrizePicks. I think it's CSGO. So HSG on Acred versus Hydra. So, or let me refresh. Maybe the line moved. I'm not particularly sure. So we can refresh this. No, it should still be there. So maybe I can search the team name and then find him. I'm not really sure. Acred, SHG. Let me refresh this. Maybe I got to refresh Underdog Fantasy because it didn't update all the player props for today. Sorry for wasting your time. So you do have to apparently update it. But let's look at this play, right? And what kind of stinks about esports? Well, what's great about it is there's a ton of games, right? More games means more bets. A lot of people ask me, how many bets should I place per day? And if there's no sports going on, you shouldn't just bet to bet. If there's a ton of sports and a ton of profitable bets, maybe you want to place a ton of bets in the day. But if we take a look at this SHG guy, right, you're going to see there's only 3 sports books that are posting CSGO esports lines, right? You got PrizePicks, you got ParlayPlay, and you got Underdog Fantasy. Whereas, if you look at baseball, if we go to a baseball game for tomorrow or something like that, long story short, there's hundreds of sports books. So you can see in the Brewers game tomorrow, this play looks really good. Looks like the odds actually moved. But you can see, there's hundreds of sports books posting odds on the MLB. So you should have more confidence, in your bets, right? All these sports books, have complicated models. They've invested a lot of money into this. They're all pricing the Brewers around plus 175. So getting plus 200, on Circa seemed pretty good. Whereas in esports, you only got a couple books, not a couple, but you got 3 main ones, PrizePicks, ParlayPlay, and Underdog Fantasy, right? Which are 3 popular books. So that's a good thing. But if we take a look at this SHG guy, it's pretty simple. PrizePicks has his line at 35.5, right? Underdog Fantasy has his line at 38, right? So they're, 2.5 kills higher than PrizePicks. ParlayPlay, which is, again, another data point, man, they logged me out. But if we pull up SHG, they have his line at 35.5, right? And in general, what I've noticed is Underdog Fantasy, they seem to be the side that ends up being wrong more often. And typically they'll adjust by the next day, by closer to game time. So all these plays, were obviously Underdog Fantasy kind of found using the same strategy. And, it's kind of rational, data-driven sports betting, right? PrizePicks is, pretty big company, a lot of customers. They're moving around lines. If everyone bets the over, a lot of people are like, oh, they don't realize that sportsbook lines are based on what people are betting, right? If everyone comes in here and keeps hammering the over on PrizePicks, they'll move the line up to 36, to 36.5, because if everyone's betting the over, that reflects information in the market that the over should be at a higher line, because every sports bettor is betting the over, they'll move the line up. Just like the price of a stock, right? Goes up due to supply and demand. Sportsbooks aren't dumb, right? They move lines based on what people are betting. So what you can see here, though, is like, you don't got to overthink it. Like, keep it simple, stupid, right? Like, Underdog has their line at 38, 2 other books at 35.5. We want to take the under. Then we switch over to Pancake, right? And some people will be like, oh, this is League of Legends. This is a different league. Like, it doesn't matter. It's the exact same concept, right? 3 versus 3.5. ParlayPlay, PrizePicks have his line lower at 3. Again, for the people who think they're smarter than the sports books, that also means you think you're smarter than everyone else. It means you think you're smarter than the market. It's like if you just decide to buy a stock because you think it's going to go up. That means you think you're smarter than everyone else because the current price the stock is trading is where supply and demand is equal. There's a lot of smart people trading stocks, hedge funds, mutual funds, all these smart individuals, just like hopefully the people watching this live stream, right? So like, unless you think you're smarter than anyone else, the consensus is this line should be at 3. Underdog Fantasy's at 3.5. Pretty simple. We want to take the under. So here you can see another line discrepancy, but this time the line discrepancy is only between Underdog Fantasy and PrizePicks, right? ParlayPlay doesn't have a line. So the more books posting odds, the better, right? Like in this case, Pancake's line is 3.5 here, right? Underdog or PrizePicks and ParlayPlay have his line lower at 3. So we have a little more confidence that the line should be lower and Underdog screwing up, as opposed to when just PrizePicks has their line different. So here it's like, we have a 2-point discrepancy, but it's not really clear like, okay, is PrizePicks wrong or is Underdog Fantasy wrong? In general, it seems to be Underdog Fantasy is the side you want to go with. But, I like this bet, a little less so as opposed to this bet previously for that reason. Like nothing's better. Like nothing would be better than if every sports book had esports lines. Every sports book was telling us Pancake's line should be at 3 and Underdog Fantasy's at 3.5. Because then it's like, okay, like hundreds of sports books are telling us this line should be at 3, right? And this is at 3.5, right? You have more information, more data is always better. More data means more information, means you're going to make better betting decisions because you have more data points available to you. So we can skip over this play for now. And then we can kind of like, okay, what else is out there, right? And it's kind of a bunch more esports. I mean, I don't know if I missed the early wave, but looks like not like a ton of discrepancies right now, but whatever. You can see the same thing, right? Like here is actually a little different though, right? Like this one, Cabby, his line is 38.5 on Underdog, right? PrizePicks is lower, but they're only 1 kill lower at 37.5. ParlayPlay, on the other hand, is 3 kills lower. So here we kind of have a discrepancy between all the sports books. PrizePicks is kind of in the middle. PrizePicks tends to be the smartest of ParlayPlay, Underdog. PrizePicks, the hardest to beat also, that means. Hardest to make money off of is definitely PrizePicks over ParlayPlay and Underdog, which should make sense, right? They're the bigger company. They have more resources to invest into their pricing. They have more employees watching their lines, moving around lines. If everyone's betting an over, they'll move the line up, right? Like, companies aren't dumb. So really the way to beat them, the way that OddsJam works, and you don't need OddsJam, you can search for these, lines manually. You can do it for the NFL, whatever. Search around, find discrepancies, right? Just data-driven sports betting. You can do it for, golf. You can do it for like different sports, tennis, like sports that, aren't kind of shown here. But so this play, it's like, okay, like whatever, we'll skip it because it seems like there's a little less consensus in the market. However, we can check out these two guys, right? We got Aaron and Elijah. They always got complex names. But again, like sportsbooks do a pretty good job at keeping their lines in check. But you got to remember, like Underdog Fantasy has tens of thousands of esports lines out right now, right? PrizePicks does too. They're all setting these lines independently. Lines move around. They all have to keep it in check. Like this isn't that big of a company. They don't have that many employees. You know what I mean? So like, they screw up sometimes, and that's what OddsJam just shows you is discrepancies. Where are sportsbooks screwing up and out of sync with each other? No BS. So we kind of have two options. We could take this Elijah guy under 38.5, so maybe we start with that. And we can take a look. Do we prefer this, or do we prefer Aaron over 38.5, right? Underdog, PrizePicks and ParlayPlay have his line at 38.5, or yeah, they have his line at 40.5, and Underdog Fantasy's at 38.5. So this may be a good slip, right? And again, like a lot of people are like, oh, this bet may not win. And it's like, well, like you shouldn't be gambling if that's like your perspective. The point is on Underdog Fantasy, to be profitable, you have to win roughly 55% of your player props. You don't have to win every bet, right? You don't got to win every single day. Like you'll notice, I lose, a lot of my bets, obviously. This bet lost. Oh, I'm an idiot. No, it's all about having a long-term edge because literally the math behind Underdog Fantasy, you can read this article. It's crystal clear. If you win above 55% of your player props, you'll be profitable. So if you can select plays, just like, whatever, Christian Yelich over under 8.5 fantasy points, if you can get these right, your picks above 55% of the time, you'll make money on this platform long term. Obviously, some bets are going to lose. You'll have losing days. But if you're winning above 55% of your picks, you're literally guaranteed to make money long term. So the way that Underdog Fantasy makes money, right, is they assume you're not smart. So if people aren't smart, right, like Christian Yelich, he's always going over or under. So if you have no advantage, you're only going to get these picks right 50% of the time, right? Like if you have no edge or advantage, you're basically flipping a coin, heads versus tails, over versus under. You have no advantage. So you need an advantage, an edge, to get your win rate above 55%. So basically, to find plays winning above 55% of the time, you look for where PrizePicks, right, and other sports books are telling you, yo, this line should be higher or this line should be lower, right? If you're just placing random bets, I mean, you can try, but like never, I just follow the data because it works, right? Like the math is crystal clear. So many people love to bet with their gut, but you got to remember that's what everyone does. It's what 99.9% of sports bettors do. And the books are in business for a reason, right? Handicappers, all that, they're all full of BS. Most of them aren't even, like you look at most of these handicappers on Twitter with VIP picks packages, they're like fake people. It's like they're probably 16-year-old kids in their parents' basement making money selling VIP picks packages. But anyways, here are the 3 picks I'm going to go with. Underdog Fantasy in general moves pretty quick. So this is what I'm going to hit. And you want to do an insured entry. So it really matters. And again, if you I don't want to dwell on it, but you can kind of if you want to read about the math behind it, the strategy, we have videos and stuff about that. But Underdog Fantasy, 3 pick entries, no insurance, 4 pick entries with insurance, 5 pick entries with or without insurance. And here's my bet, right? 4 pick insured entry. And if you don't have Underdog Fantasy, you can use my, refer friend code ALEXM, obviously helps me out, and you can sign up. So this is what I'm going to hit, and I'll give it another, 25 seconds. And then we can look for some other plays. And again, if you use only PrizePicks, obviously Underdog Fantasy, there's a benefit to having more sports books, right? First of all, they all give you those deposit bonuses. Sign up, get 100 for free. When I started sports betting, I didn't even think I was going to bet a lot. I just signed up to take the free $250 from FanDuel, the free $1,000 deposit bonus from DraftKings. I have tons of friends who don't like gambling, and I just tell them, sign up for Underdog Fantasy, take the $100 bonus, bet through the bonus, you'll probably make some money, or hedge it with PrizePicks and do the same thing, and then withdraw your money and call it a day. They're literally giving you $100 for signing up. And then the second reason is all these books have different lines, right? You never know which book is going to screw up, have profitable bets on a given day, right? You shouldn't have loyalty to a sports book. This isn't like, your wife. You don't have to be loyal. Whichever book has profitable bets, good promos, whatever, is the one you should be betting on. So we'll go ahead. We'll lock this in. 4 pick insured entry. We have some videos about why 4 pick insured entries are optimal, whatever. And here's a play we can go with. Pretty cool. So, I didn't intend for this live stream to necessarily get this long, but just because Underdog Fantasy tends to move lines kind of quickly. So we can go back here and we can it doesn't look like Jock Market or some of these other platforms have dropped MLB lines yet for tomorrow. Hot Streak doesn't have any lines available. So kind of annoying. So we can look at ParlayPlay. But again, here, it seems like you know, the side that's different, like here you can see ParlayPlay has their line at 35.5. PrizePicks isn't different. Underdog Fantasy is the one that is different. So here it really seems like, okay, like Underdog Fantasy kind of seems to be the one screwing up, you know, a lot of these lines. So we can go back to Underdog Fantasy here in a second. You know, Underdog Fantasy tends to be the one that's different. And also, that's the platform I personally, you may have had a different experience so far, but I've been using these platforms, placing a lot of bets for a long time. Platform I've personally had more success on is Underdog Fantasy. So we can go over to PrizePicks. Looks like there's some UFC, you know. Looks like there's some discrepancies, CSGO, but what's annoying about PrizePicks is, right, on PrizePicks, you know, they don't give you good payouts for 3-pick entries. So on Underdog, it's usually easier to make a profitable entry because on Underdog Fantasy, 3-pick entries are a 6x payout, which is actually pretty good if you go through the math. And it's easier to find 3 picks as opposed to 5, which you have to on PrizePicks. So you can see here, like maybe there's a couple plays between PrizePicks and Underdog. Maybe we can find something on PrizePicks, because another strategy, you know, that you can do is you can what's called middle bet. So, you know, like here, for example, this Dider guy, right? Let's go here, and then let's go back to CSGO, right? There's a 2-kill discrepancy, right? But there's only 2 sportsbooks posting odds. So it's kind of like, oh, is PrizePicks wrong? Are they screwing up their lines? Is this the play with value? Or is it Underdog Fantasy, right? And what you could do is, again, like this only is going to happen in esports. Like, you know, in the NBA, for example, you're never going to see a 2-point discrepancy, 17.5 versus 19.5 for like whatever, some random player. You're not going to see a 2-point discrepancy. That's not going to happen in the NBA. It only happens in esports because, one, it's 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific time. These sports books, you know, have tens of thousands of lines, and they don't really have, like, you know, not that big of companies. Like, they can't sit there and watch every single player's line constantly. So there's a lot of opportunity. There's a lot of discrepancies. So what a middle bet is, right, is you essentially take the under or the over, in this case on PrizePicks, over 17.5, under 19.5 on Underdog. And then if he has, you know, 18 or 19 kills, we win the over 17.5. We also win the under 19.5. So we win both bets if he has, you know, 18 or 19. So we could possibly create a middle here, you know, kind of depends. Here on PrizePicks, right here, kind of seems like PrizePicks is the side that's off. And again, like on PrizePicks, you don't have to be, you know, you don't have to be perfect. You're just looking for discrepancies, right? Because these discrepancies, right, indicate to you that, hey, your pick, like other books have the line lower, you're getting a, you know, the line 2.5 points higher. Like, okay, PrizePicks, you know, probably a little off from the market. So this play, the under, is the better value. That play is more likely than the over. So that's how you get your win rate above, you know, 54 point. This is wrong. It should be 54.2%, but whatever, 54.2%, which is what percentage of your picks you have to win, you know, on PrizePicks to be profitable. It's kind of like when you're betting on point spreads in the NBA, like when you're betting at minus 110 odds, all minus 110 means, right, a lot of, like, and nobody can do it, right? For like NFL point spreads, you know, people who try to beat betting on NFL spreads long term, all that minus 110 means is you have to win 52.4% of your picks to be profitable. It's not that big of an advantage. 53%, you can win 53% of your point spreads, 47% you can lose, and you're a profitable NFL spread bettor. Nobody can do it. But like, again, like all you have to do is increase your win rate above 54.2% to be profitable on PrizePicks. So find discrepancies. So what we can do is just kind of like, okay, maybe we can like find a little middle bet between PrizePicks and Underdog. So we can look for these, you know, big discrepancies, whatever, and possibly middle it. So we can see the next one is this Mickey player, right? So I don't see him. Or is this a different league? Oh, so this is a different league. This is Dota 2. So if we go over there, whoops, and we can go here, right? And then we want to take his first 2 map kills, 14.5. Make sure you select the right one. It's the first one. So many games. This guy shows up 4 times. Then you go to Underdog Fantasy and you want to take him under 16, right? So you're just capitalizing on discrepancies. This is a big enough discrepancy where you're covering the VIG, you're covering the juice, right? The like 4% extra that PrizePicks is charging. And then, you know, you can see there's, so we already got Daitor. I thought we already got Daitor. So we did already get Daitor. But we can go to Aaron, right? And there's nothing super, you know, just kind of finding discrepancies, taking advantage of them, which is, it seems so simple, but like it's what works. And, you know, like my background, some people probably know, but as I was a trader, and like all you're doing as a trader is following prices. You're following market movements because that's how you make money, because markets are in general pretty smart. Not that they're perfect, but they're pretty smart. And it's really no different here. It's using all the market information where all the books are setting their lines to make more informed betting decisions and get plays with an edge, more likely to win, whatever. So now we can see it's like, okay, like cool. You know, I have this 3, you know, kill middle. And then here on PrizePicks, I have 3 plays, and then we can take Onlahe under 38, right? Which kind of makes sense because, again, Underdog, ParlayPlay both have the line lower, right? So it seems like PrizePicks, if anyone is, you know, PrizePicks is the one kind of slipping up here. Their model is setting this person's line too high. So what we could do is add in one more middle bet or just try to find a play on PrizePicks. So whatever. We'll add in this tennis play. Storm Hunter versus Nadia Podorska, under 21.5 games. Books have the under favored, and DraftKings actually has the total not at 21.5. They have it lower at 20.5. So you're using all this information, right? Like, okay, FanDuel has the under 20. So FanDuel has the line at 21.5, but they have the under favored, juiced to minus 136 odds. DraftKings has the line even lower at 20.5. So getting under 21.5 on PrizePicks seems pretty good. So we can go over to tennis, and then we can hit this most random slip of all time. We have a few different esports games, no correlation to worry about, and then a tennis under, right? And then, you know, basically just like middle it. 3 picks, right? On Underdog Fantasy, when you're playing 3-pick entries, which is what I'm almost playing, you want to play with no insurance for 3-pick entries. So what you'll see, like most of my plays are 4-pick entries with insurance, like you can see right here, are 3-pick entries. So we want to hit this, you know, whatever. And you can middle them both for $100, right? And what you're hoping for is what I like about middles. And like these middles, I mean, I'm not going to say these were the craziest middles in the world or anything like that. But what's kind of fun about middles is, right, like if you see the PrizePicks slip here, is you have a kind of random sweat, right? We're hoping Didor has exactly 18 or 19 headshots in the first 2 maps. So if you want to bet this on Underdog, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to lock it in a second. But again, they kind of move these lines quickly. So if anyone wants to bet it, I'll give it a sec. What's up, guys? Oh, thank God I shared my screen. I'll look at Fliff in a sec. I was an options trader. Yeah, so OddsJam already looks at like the distribution and calculates which middle plays are profitable. So you'll notice like on OddsJam, like here's a line discrepancy, but it's, you know, not in green, so not good to go. But what we can do is we can lock this in now, right? And then we have a middle bet. So then we can just kind of like, you know, market's always moving, whatever. Sports books are always posting odds. These esports games are all the time, but I usually see lines drop, and I could be completely wrong about when they drop most of them. But like I see a lot of lines drop at like 2 p.m. Pacific time, 5 p.m. Eastern time. But again, like games literally go on from like 1 a.m. to, you know, like they're going on 24/7. So books drop odds, you know, kind of throughout the day. So anyways, we can go back here. You can see there are some good plays on FanDuel. But again, like I don't have access to FanDuel right now. So what I can do, so this play keeps getting even better. White Sox, Mets, right? Like you have all these different books telling you, yo, this line should be priced around plus 125. Fliff is giving you plus 160. Like this has got to be a play that you're going to be on. I've already bet it. Fliff has max bet sizes of $250. But if you play Fliff, like obviously a good play. So we can go back here. We can put in like whatever. Underdog, ParlayPlay. We'll go to Fliff. Jock Market's a good one I use. And again, more books you have, the better. Like a lot of people, I feel like they think it takes a bunch of work to get a sports book. I mean, most of these books you can sign up for in, a few seconds. Not actually a few seconds, but a few minutes, very realistically. It's like put in your email, make a password, get your bonus, especially these fantasy sites. So it doesn't look like there's a ton of plays on Fliff, right? But there's this really good one, 7% profit margin. So how you think about this is under the percent column, this is called your edge. In other words, your profit margin. So 7%, right? I bet it for $250. So the profit margin of my bet is you take your edge, right? Your percent profit margin, 7%. You multiply $250, $17.50 is roughly the profit margin of the bet in dollars. And it was the exact same thing as a trader. Each trade has an edge. Some stocks go up, some go down. But if your trades have an edge, you win long term. If the edge of a trade is $3 and the trade's for $10,000, it's 3% of 10,000 is a profit margin of your trade, right? And that's how, anyone who understands markets and trading and like sports betting, that's how they think about their bets. Nothing's a lock, obviously. No such thing. And it's also why you want to play, like it makes no sense to only place a few bets a day for that reason, right? Because like nobody knows the future. Nobody knows if the White Sox are going under tomorrow. Like that's absolute, BS, like such BS. Like the way you make money is you find plays with an edge, right? And plays with a higher edge, higher profit margin are obviously better. They're like sports betting is kind of like finding coins that are 53% to show up on heads and you're picking heads, right? You're finding bets like where the odds are in, kind of like your favor. So we can go back to Underdog Fantasy, see if there's anything. Kind of the same plays. So, I don't want to dwell and make this video way too long. So like, if we're playing 3-pick entries, you want to cut off, nope, not 3-man insured, 3-man uninsured, whatever. Like this will kind of change around the profitable plays and show them in green. So hopefully this was helpful. I'll try to do a live stream if any other lines drop for tonight, but obviously not a bunch of lines posted. I'm sure there's some good bets on like, FanDuel, DraftKings, nothing on Sleeper, but the more books you use, the better. Like more promos also. All these books are on promos and stuff like that. I don't see any League of Legends plays. So let me just show the full slip. So we have this slip on PrizePicks. Boom. You can pause it if you want. And then on Underdog Fantasy, right, we have a 3-pick uninsured entry. 3 of these plays are middles, right? 1, 2, 3. And then we got a 4-pick entry. This was just a prop bet. It's not a middle. Insured, right? And I'll do a live stream if I see more good plays, but don't really see much out there right now. But anyway, I'll hopefully get on live later. I'm wired. I'm wide awake, 7:22. And if anyone has questions about sports betting, whatever, you can email me. I usually respond somewhat quick. Kind of questions about the math behind sports betting, strategy, how many picks are optimal. Happy to answer. And thanks so much.